Mono Island, Treasury Islands. October 1943. Machinist Mate 2nd Class Aurelio Tassone of the 87th Naval Construction Battalion drove a 24-ton Caterpillar D8 bulldozer straight at a Japanese pillbox. Not a tank. He was a construction worker. The machine was built to grade roads. Silver Star is the American Award for Valor. The D8 first appeared in 1935. By Iwo Jima, armored bulldozers were landing in the assault waves with the Marines. He lifted the blade as a shield, dropped it on the bunker, and bladed earth over 12 defenders. No formal order has ever been found. The coral held the reason. From Tarawa to Iwo Jima, Japanese defenses turned each island into a fortress. Coconut log pillboxes crossed their fire, and concrete bunkers sat in the coral. Peleliu added cave and tunnel systems that could absorb days of naval bombardment and keep fighting. On Iwo Jima alone, more than 800 pillboxes guarded the airfields. The Marines hit the beach on February 19, 1945. The fight ran to the end of March. Roughly 18 kilometers of tunnels already ran under the island. Each position had to be knocked out on its own. Flamethrower teams burned their way in. Satchel charges went through firing slits. Tanks rolled close and fired point-blank through the embrasures. Every reduction cost men, and the beaches still needed heavy equipment to move earth, clear wreckage, and open roads inland. So bulldozer operators sat on top of 24-ton machines, fully exposed to Japanese fire. More than 800 pillboxes, about 18 kilometers of tunnels. At Cape Gloucester, the landing began on December 26, 1943. New Britain sat in the Bismarck Archipelago. By January 3rd, the 19th Naval Construction Battalion had become the 3rd Battalion, 17th Marines, and it was supporting the 1st Marine Division at Suicide Creek. 3 bulldozer operators tried to grade a tank crossing under direct Japanese fire. 2 were shot out of the seat. The seat was open. The dozer's steel body gave one Marine cover. He walked beside it. He worked the blade controls from outside with a shovel and an axe handle. His name stayed absent from the record. That exposed work at the blade controls pointed to a deeper problem on Pacific bases. Civilian crews at Wake, Guam, and the Philippines built bases in 1940 and 1941. A weapon could get them executed as guerrillas. Rear Admiral Ben Morrell, chief of the Bureau of Yards and Docks, asked for military status on the 28th of December, 1941. The war forced the move. The Navy officially established the Naval Construction Battalions on the 5th of March, 1942. Seabees came from Seabee. Their battalions had an insignia, an average age of 37, and a motto: "We build, we fight." Military status let welders, electricians, and heavy equipment operators carry weapons as servicemen. At Camp Endicott, Rhode Island, they learned bulldozer work and Browning automatic rifle fire. Tradesmen who could shoot. That training paid off fast. The D8 was Caterpillar's tracked tractor. It carried 132 to 148 horsepower, 24 tons of steel and diesel. Marine commanders kept requesting Seabee D8s for every amphibious operation in the Pacific. The Marine Corps' own TD-18 tractors could not match that power. No surprise there. No factory armor came with it. Battalion shops welded flat steel plate over the operator's station. They cut vision slits for the driver's eyes. Each battalion built its own answer. No central specification. No engineering drawing. The blade became the shield. Raised high on approach, it covered the driver's chest and head. Dropped onto a bunker, it crushed the structure. Then the operator pushed earth over what remained. A flamethrower team could reduce one pillbox, but it burned through fuel in seconds and left its operator exposed. The bulldozer sealed the position and kept working. One was single use. the other went back to work. By 1945, the Navy sent the 41st Seabee Regiment into the second wave at Iwo Jima. Construction workers landed with the Marines on the most fortified island in the Pacific. The 133rd Battalion would lose 245 men on those black volcanic beaches. The Bulldozer had to prove it could fight. Mono gave the answer in October 1943. On the largest island in the Treasuries, Aurelio Tassone of the 87th Naval Construction Battalion drove his D-8 Helen toward shore when Lieutenant Charles I. Turnbull pointed out a Japanese pillbox built from logs and coral that had stalled the advance. Tassone lifted the blade in front of the firing slit and kept moving while Turnbull walked behind, firing his carbine, and rifle rounds rang off the steel. Then Tassone swung around the bunker, dropped the blade onto its roof, crushed it, and pushed earth over the wreckage until the position was sealed and the infantry could move. Both men received the Silver Star, the United States Award for Gallantry in Combat. After the fight, men opened the mound and pulled out 12 Japanese defenders and the large caliber gun. On Peleliu, the trick from Mono had to scale up. From September 15th to late November 1944, the 33rd and 73rd Naval Construction Battalions landed in Palau. They came in with the 1st Marine Division. Then came Umurbrogel. There, coral limestone had split into linked caves and firing holes inside the ridge. The Japanese defense used those natural cracks and cavities as shelters, gun positions, and tunnels between entrances. Far too costly. So the siege came first. Smoke pots and napalm went into each mouth first. Then armored bulldozers crawled over the coral and shoved crushed rock across the openings. Diesel rolled off walls. Tracks screened on stone, and whole rows of cave mouths disappeared under fresh coral. By then, the 81st Infantry Division, the Wildcats, had joined the battle. Their after-action records did not soften the result. The same method that sealed one bunker on Mono now closed connected positions across an entire ridge. They buried the Japanese in place. Most of the dead stayed under the collapsed ridge. 1,300 enemy killed, 143 captured. Before Peleliu, the same work had started on Baishio, on Tarawa Atoll in the Gilbert Islands. After 76 hours of fighting that killed 4,500 Japanese defenders and 1,000 Korean laborers, the 74th and 98th Naval Construction Battalions drove Caterpillar D7 tractors over cratered ground. They shoved broken concrete, coconut logs, sand, and human remains into the holes, crushed bunkers that still held, and buried the last resistance positions. Hawkins Field returned to service within weeks. At Iwo Jima, black volcanic sand stopped even D-8 bulldozers before they could reach the airfield. On February 19, 1945, the 133rd Naval Construction Battalion landed in the second wave with the 4th Marine Division. The 31st came ashore with the 5th Division. The 62nd arrived on the 5th day with the 3rd. Iwo Jima lies in the Ogasawara archipelago. The 133rd landed at full strength as a pioneer battalion, wearing Marine Corps fatigues. Petty Officer 2nd Class Marvin Nottingham and Petty Officer Clint Trefethen rode with armored D-8s inside an LSM, a medium landing ship. Its ramp dropped into mortar fire already aimed at the beach. Sand buried boots to the ankles and locked the tracks in place. There was no cover. The volcanic ash collapsed whenever men tried to dig. Fragments struck the armored cabs with hard metallic blows. The crews laid Marston matting beneath the tracks, perforated steel panels that gave the machines a surface to grip. Only then could the bulldozers move forward under fire. Within 7 days, all 3 battalions made Motoyama Airfield No. 1 ready for aircraft. The 133rd shifted more than 765,000 cubic meters of earth and crushed more than 100,000 tons of rock for the runway base. Jack Cornwall of the 31st later described a power shovel operator facing fire from 2 caves. The operator swung his bucket around and packed both entrances shut. Rifle rounds had already bounced off his cab. The battle for Iwo Jima lasted 36 days. The 133rd Battalion lost 245 men, including 42 killed and 203 wounded. That cost gave the bulldozers a legend. Old Seabees said Japanese defenders learned not to fire at the men driving them. No captured order supports it. The claim appears in no Marine Corps monograph, no strategic bombing survey interrogation, and no documented battle instruction from General Kuribayashi. The field logic was simpler. Rifle fire rarely stopped an armored bulldozer, but each shot exposed the rifleman's position. The blade kept moving. On Peleliu, Palau, archaeologists surveyed nearly 200 wartime caves in 2019. They found charred bones, sake bottles, and Imperial Japanese Navy buttons. The caves had stayed sealed for 75 years. General Kuribayashi's documented battle orders contain no such directive. Once the rumor fell away, only a narrow viewing slit remained. The driver saw little beyond the blade. Armor stopped rifle and light machine gun fire. It could not stop a direct hit from a 47mm anti-tank gun. A satchel charge thrown over the blade could kill the driver. A mortar round could drop into the open-topped cab. He depended on a spotter walking beside the machine. At Mono, Turnbull carried only a carbine under fire. Allied troops landed on Mono, in the Treasury Islands of the Solomons, on October 27, 1943. One veteran's family recorded his story 2 weeks before he died. That narrow cab led to fuller protection, but the bulldozer stayed in the assault line. On Mono in 1943, Aurelio Tassone raised his blade and drove toward the guns. Seabees built Pacific roads, runways, and bases. Their bulldozers also cleared obstacles. In Vietnam, armored Caterpillar D7 bulldozers cut jungle with Rome plows. During Desert Storm in 1991, bulldozers broke through Iraqi earth berms. Israel's 50-ton Caterpillar D9R Doobie carries 15 tons of factory armor. The American D7R2 has all-around crew protection.